Moldugas, Gleeoks and Lynels are some of the most intimidating monsters in Hyrule, and if you're unprepared and don't use a strategy, these things can be very hard to take down. But what are the best and most consistent methods to kill these beasts? What's going on everyone? Welcome back to another Zelda tutorial here on the Mr. West Games channel. I'm Mr. West and today I'm going to teach you guys how you can defeat Moldugas, Lynels and Gleeoks in Tears of the Kingdom. Before I go into that, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are growing the channel every day and your help is very much appreciated. Alright, let's get it. Before I continue, I should warn you that there may be footage of items, sages or other things from later on in the game that some of you may consider as spoilers. I will not be spoiling any of the storyline in my videos, but I cannot help if you see some gameplay of things that you haven't unlocked yet in your playthrough. Before I go into the methods and strategies to use for these monsters, I want to say that these are my personal methods that I use consistently to defeat these monsters. This isn't the only way or the only method to use, but I'm trying to have a general way that can hopefully apply to anyone. You may prefer to use different weapons, construct zonai devices, or specific items, which is completely fine as well. Do what you're comfortable with and what works for you. But if you do want help, or hopefully an easier way, then I'm here to help. First we should go through the preparation and the must-have things for each of these monsters. You will need a decent armor set to help you, otherwise you will be hit super hard for a lot of damage. The Phantom armor set is a great set if you're in the early and middle game to use. You'll be able to take down most of them using this armor set, but for the harder Lynels and Gleeoks, I prefer to use the Fierce Deity armor set. This is arguably the best armor set in the game, and once upgraded to level 2 or above, it will start to outshine the Phantom set. Either one of these armor sets are fine, so definitely check out my guides to get these armor sets if you haven't already. Now if you can, prepare some meals depending on what monsters you're trying to farm or defeat. I generally cook up some attack meals, cold resistance meals and heat resistance meals, as some of these monsters will be in cold or hot weather. Attack meals are always great as well to add some more damage. Of course, if you have lots of hearty foods, use them to cook up meals that give you a full recovery and extra hearts. Lastly, make sure to prepare some weapons with some strong weapon fusions. If you want a guide on the best weapon fusions for the early, middle and late game, check out my weapon fusions guide. I prefer to use two-handed weapons for Gleeoks and Moldugas, and then one-handed weapons and a shield for Lynels. Again, this is my personal preference, but this is the best way I have found to kill them consistently. Let's start off with Moldugas. Moldugas are found in the Gerudo Desert, and there are 4 that are spawned and roaming around. Here is a map of the locations for each Molduga. This is the interactive IGN map, which I will link in the description, which you can use to get these locations, or feel free to pause and screenshot each of the maps I show in the video. Head to the desert to one of these locations and look for a rumbling, moving pile of sand. If you're in the flat open areas, you may see them breaching up out of the sand in the distance to give you their location. Since these guys are in the desert, you may need to have a heat or cold resistance depending on if it's day or night. Now the easiest method for these guys is if there are stones or high ground, take that high ground and shoot an arrow near them. This will draw their attention to the arrow and then they will breach the sand where the arrow landed. Once they have breached, shoot them with a bomb arrow and this will cause them to get stunned, and then you can go up and start attacking it. Unfortunately for 2 of them, there is no high ground around, so you will have to get their attention in another way, and they will usually notice you from a far distance. As they are coming towards you, you can try to shoot an arrow at the ground, or you can throw an item to get their attention. I personally use the hydro melons as they don't break on the ground. Once it breaches the sand, shoot it with a bomb arrow to stun it. Now when it's stunned, run right up to the head and have a two-handed weapon out. If you have prepared right and have a decently strong two-handed weapon, you can probably kill this in one go. When you get to it, start holding the attack button to start swinging around with a two-handed charge attack and go for as long as you can. If you don't kill it in one go, it will either go back into the sand or stay half out to try and attack you. I just run away and repeat by shooting an arrow at the ground or throwing a hydromelon to cause it to breach the sand again, shoot it in the air with a bomb arrow and repeat the charge attack. This is the easiest method I have found, and it doesn't take much reaction or combat skills to take these guys down. If you have a different way of taking these guys out, or another method you prefer, let me know in the comments below. Next we will go through Gleeoks. These are found on the surface and in the sky. Check out the IGN interactive map if you want more precise locations for each of the Gleeoks. There are really two difficulties with Gleeoks. The first are the regular elemental ones, which will be a singular element, albeit ice, electric and fire Gleeoks. The second harder ones are the king Gleeoks, which all three heads are each of the three elements. For both Gleeoks, I would make sure to have a good amount of Keese eyeballs or anything you can fuse to your arrows that will go for a headshot. These items really make it easy to kill these things and allow you to hit them in the air so much easier. Let's talk about the single element Gleeoks. These guys are pretty simple, which is to shoot the heads so that the entire Gleeoks fall to the ground and then start dishing out massive damage to their heads. Then rinse and repeat until it's dead. If you use the elemental Keese eyeballs that each Gleeok is weak to, then you will be doing more damage, but it's not required. Before you get too close, start fusing and firing arrows to hit each of the heads. Depending on what bows you have, each head might go down to one arrow or might require more. When it falls to the ground, run up to one of the heads with a two-handed weapon and just like the Moldugas, start holding Y to charge attack and hold it for as long as you can. When you start to see the Gleeok stand up, run backwards and away quickly out of the range of the wing attack that the Gleeok will do. When you get out of range, start firing the eyeball arrows again. If you do this quickly enough, you will hit the Gleeok back to the ground before they can even do anything. Rinse and repeat, charge attacking one of the heads. Now with Gleeoks, at about 40 to 50% health or less, when they get up, they will fly into the air really high up and start raining down elemental attacks. You want to avoid this as much as possible. Fire off arrows quickly once they start to fly up, but if they get too high, your arrows will no longer home in on the heads. In which case, you will need to use the updrafts that are caused by the elemental attacks and fly up dodging everything. This is really tricky, which is why it is best to avoid this. With the single Gleeoks, you should have enough attack that if you shoot quickly after it starts to get up, it will be hit down before it gets too high, in which case it will take full damage and be low enough on health to kill it. For king Gleeoks though, it is pretty much unavoidable that they will fly up unless you are super skilled and can hit each of the head before it gets too high. As I travel with my fan bike up to the platforms to get to the king Gleeoks, I can use this to jump on quickly and get high enough and dodge the elemental rain attacks. When you get high enough, jump off the bike and enter bullet time to take out each head, which will cause it to fall down to the ground, and from that height it will be enough to die. Everything else stays the same for the king Gleeoks in the early part of the fight, but you may just have to do the same method a few more times as they have more health than the other ones. This will take some practice, and this is a general overview of the strategy I use. You can of course use different items or zonai devices if they help you. Lastly, we have the infamous Lynels. They can be found throughout the surface and in the depths. Check out the IGN interactive map in the description for an easy way to see each location. Now these vary greatly in difficulty as you have red, blue, white and silver Lynels as well as the armoured Lynels in the depths. For the red, blue and potentially white Lynels, the phantom armour will be enough to kill these guys. But for the silver and armoured Lynels, I would use the Fierce Deity armour set for more damage and more defense. As I said earlier, I prefer to use a one-handed weapon with a shield as I will be doing more shield parrying and flurry rushes for fighting these. The strategy is the same for each, it will just take more damage and more repeating steps against the stronger Lynels. When you start to approach these guys, I like to shoot them with arrows to try and get a headshot. If you get a headshot, you will stun them and you can run up and mount them, then hit them for damage until they kick you off. Once you are kicked off, they will either do a charge attack right next to you or they will run away to do a rush attack. For the close attacks, you can shield parry them, or if you prefer to dodge and flurry rush, you can do that as well. I like to do both and get hits onto them in between each attack. When they run away for a rush attack, they can be hard to shield parry if you are even able to at all. Time your dodge for a flurry rush and continue the fight. They can do two more things as well with fire. They can either jump back and shoot 3 fireballs at you, or you will see wind kick up around them, which means they are going to do an AoE fire attack, which you will need to run out of range for. In both cases, if it's not raining and there is grass around, the fire will cause an updraft which you can use to fly up, enter bullet time and headshot them to stun them. Rinse and repeat the method from the start. If you're just starting out fighting these guys, definitely start on the red and blue Lynels first, as they are the easiest and less punishing if you miss time a dodge or a shield parry. Now if you're doing the Depths Coliseum or just an armoured Lynel in the depths, you'll need to break the armour on it first. I usually just spam bomb arrows as much as I can to destroy this, but using specific weapons that will break armour is good as well. Try and break it as quick as you can and then start this method. These guys can be easy with a bit of practice, good weapons and consistent strategies. Lynels give the best loot in my opinion, with the weapons, shields, bows being really powerful and the horns which give an awesome fuse power. Definitely farming some of these guys before the Gleeoks and Moldugas are great as well, as they gear you up for the fights. Well everyone, I hope I could give you a pretty easy and solid strategy to use in defeating each of these monsters. If you found a different strategy that you can use, definitely let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. We are approaching 1,000 followers and we need your help to hit that goal. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next Zelda Tears of the Kingdom video. Catch us all later.